the real reason Kaepernick took a knee, police brutality. I understand his message, said Staff Sergeant Jonathan Felix, who said he has been deployed 4 times to Iraq and Afghanistan. He also says there's a lot of oppression in the world, and Kaepernick, he's fighting for the people just the way I have been.
The NFL's new policy requiring players to stand for the national anthem or their team faces fines, provoking strong reaction. One Republican congressman, New York's Peter King, raising eyebrows with this tweet, saying, quote, "Disgraceful that Jets owner will pay fines for players who kneel for national anthem, encouraging a movement premised on lies versus police." Would he support all player protests? Would he pay fines of players giving Nazi salutes or spew racism? Time to say goodbye to the Jets. Let's bring in our guest, former Green Beret and NFL Seahawks player with Nate Boyerson, and little legal analyst Mark Garagos. Mark is, by the way, representing Colin Kaepernick in a battle against the NFL regarding collusion. Good morning to both of you. Thanks for being here. And Nate, of course, thank you for your service. We'll start with you because you encouraged Colin Kaepernick in the very beginning of this movement to take a knee and not to sit during the national anthem. When you see that tweet from a congressman, Peter King, equating it to a Nazi salute, what's your reaction?
Well, I mean, that's a little far-fetched. A lot far-fetched, I should say. You know, it's important to note that taking a knee was sort of born out of compromise from 2 people that maybe didn't agree necessarily on everything, but people that were willing to listen to one another. And I wanted him to stand because of what it means to me, what the flag, the anthem, everything means to me. And he didn't want to. And through our conversation, through listening and respecting one another, he agreed to take a knee. So, I mean, that's from somebody that served his country, and it was a way to demonstrate where I thought that he was showing that he was willing to listen to people that maybe he was hurting and affecting in some way. And so, yeah, it's not a you can't compare it to a Nazi salute. That's just ridiculous.
Another congressman, senator in this case, who served their country, Senator Tammy Duckworth, a double amputee Iraq War veteran, she tweeted this: "One day our nation's flag will drape my coffin, just as it did my dad's and will my husband's and brothers. I will always stand on these legs for the flag and anthem, but it also my honor to defend people's right to free speech, including those who choose to take a knee to express outrage at the glaring disparity in how Americans of different races are treated." This sentiment has turned against taking a knee. It's not necessarily popular with the American people, but is that the common ground, Nate, that Americans could find on the issue?
I mean, the one thing about this whole situation is you can say all day what a protest or demonstration is about, but you don't get to choose how people perceive it, right? So, we have to respect that as well. But, I sat down with Colin almost 2 years ago now, and, I know where he was coming from and where he is coming from is not a place of, of hate and of, utter disrespect for the flag or the anthem or our country. So I know that because I sat down with them, and people that have certain feelings about that, until you really listen to somebody and sit down with them and take the time, whether you agree with them or not, it's just not right to make those judgments and attack people in any way, regardless of what they believe in.
It's mind-boggling that so many people are against him when he's fighting by taking a stance or knee. After the game, Kaepernick announced a plan to donate $1 million to the charities that focus on racial issues. After this, Kaepernick's message spread like wildfire, despite the mainstream media directing the conversation towards the military. How the message got confused. The message that got lost in the lies of police unions. The media, instead of addressing the obvious murders by police officers, made it about the national anthem and the military.
Well, it's ludicrous to say that any of this is not about race. That's what the entire aspect of this whole thing has been about: discrimination, racism, and police brutality.
The anthem debate began more than a year ago. Then 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick sitting on the sidelines during a preseason game as the rest of his team stood. sitting down, he said, to take a stand against the growing number of unarmed black men killed by police and racial injustice in general.
I'm going to continue to stand with the people that are being oppressed. When there's significant change, and I feel like that flag represents what it's supposed to represent.
A backlash quickly followed from both fans
Move to Canada.
and players alike.
You have to show some respect, especially in this position that we're in, where we're playing a game for a living. It's shameful.
What started as Kaepernick's decision to sit during the anthem quickly evolved into the still controversial kneel with a raised fist. Seattle Seahawk Michael Bennett is one of the players who joined the protest and faced harsh criticism for doing so.
For those who would say your stance is un-American not to stand up during the national anthem, you say?
Well, it's the most American thing that you could do is fight for equality for everybody. At this point, I think it's un-American what happened to me having guns drawn on me.
Weeks after Bennett began his protest during the anthem, he was cuffed and detained by Las Vegas police before being released. As he told my Nightline co-anchor Byron Pitts, Bennett believes that takedown was racially motivated.
Yes, I'm a black man, though. Through all the stuff that I've done in society, at the end of the day, I'm still a black man.
The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department denies that accusation.
If the media would have honored the protests, if people would stand against a racist president, if the NFL would just stand for the rights of the player workers on the field, if everyone kept the military out of the protest because it wasn't about them, and if people understood the difference between nationalism and patriotism, no one would have a problem about not standing for the national anthem. Maybe if more of the people knew what the Republic stands for, we would have a more effectively ran country of respected citizens.
So now in reality,
let's get Max in the conversation.
That's the reality.
Guys, come on.
Look, if you talk about a unified march on Washington to get a final resolution to this issue, the reason I disagree with it is this issue right now, today, is Marshawn Lynch, who predates Kaepernick. So what I'm saying is it's really not about that. The idea is not that he's protesting. The idea is that his conscience, or for whatever reason, he doesn't want to participate. And if not participating is seen automatically as a protest, you're asking all the Marshawn Lynches, whoever they may be in the future, to sign off on always standing up for this ceremony. Not all of them may want to do that.
Guess what? The people that have the power to implement and provoke change are on Capitol Hill.
What about
so why not take it to them? That's all I'm saying. If you disagree, you disagree, but that's all I'm saying.
What about the player who might come along in the future, might be watching us right now and say, you know what, right? What about the player who one day in the future goes, it's not even about an issue that I want to raise awareness for. I don't like the fact that the impetus is on me. The expectation is that I participate in essentially a nationalistic ceremony to prove my patriotism. I resent that, the pressure to do that, and I'm not going to participate in it. What about that player? Is that player also required to stand in?
No one's required. I'm just saying.
But when you say they need to be on one accord, they need to be unified. This is not a thing about unification. These are certain individuals who have chosen to protest.
What should they do? You never told us what you think they should do.
I think they should continue protesting, and they should continue going about things in their communities the way that they are.
Everyone should follow their conscience. This is America.
I believe there are racist issues underlying some of the whiter Christians who are angry at Kaepernick, who is half black and half white. But these fans are accepting of Tebow, who is very white. However, I also believe that the police union created this spin of Kaepernick's symbolism, effectively changing the meaning of a peaceful protest to an act of disrespect towards the military. This would prove to be problematic for the NFL, who have been in business of recruitment of the nation's youth into the military. This teaming up was one of profit. Tying the NFL to patriotism helped strengthen the fan base that is very much an American fan base, prideful American fan base.